So this will just be a quick summary of some thoughts and discussions I've had about the idea of free will and choice. Certainly my concern with this matter goes back quite a few years, but recently I've had some fresh discussions about it. While these are largely new iterations to the old arguments, themes, and interlocutors, they do bring the novelty of motivating this video. I'll just tell you this much up front. I don't believe that choice or free will actually exist. I think these are just ordering ideas that help us make sense of our lives and experiences, rather like, say, time and causation. Now, whether the idea of choice is merely a convenient device to talk about day-to-day events and actions, an alluring testament to our own past successes, an enticing hope and prod to the promise of future success in the face of past failure or hardship, a linchpin for some metaphysical or ethical system, or an essential assumption in legal matters, or one or more of the above, or something else, it does seem to be entrenched in language as an indispensable category for contemplating and talking about human actions. Whether this goes beyond just language and into the realm of some innate, hardwired cognitive structuring, as has been said of time and causation, I won't comment on, but only suggest that its entrenchment in how we think and speak is already in itself pretty profound. So profound, I would want to say, that perhaps it has even insinuated its way de facto into our ontological inventory, into the distinction of that which we believe actually is. One kind of interlocutor with whom I have engaged in much discourse over the years, and with whom I had occasion to engage again recently on topics including notably that of free will and choice, is the one for whom, among other things, choice is an indispensable ingredient in their worldview. This is the one for whom human free will is the locus of decisive action when it comes to whether a person, a soul, will spend life in the favor of God and whether eternity will be spent in heaven or hell. I'm inclined to think that even if such a person were amenable to the suggestion that choice is an artificial construct when it comes to our trivial day-to-day actions, their commitment to its existence vis-a-vis their religious metaphysical beliefs would compel them once again to find choices everywhere. So the action, say, of drinking either an IPA or a Hefeweizen will be construed in a way that's just as choice-driven as the action of coming to believe or repent. Another interlocutor with whom I've gone rounds on this topic for years and again recently is, well, let's just say the therapist, the counselor, whether this be in an unofficial or an official capacity. I suppose the well-intentioned intention here is to facilitate someone's coming to happiness or fruitfulness and or away from some self-destructive behavior or something like that. In this domain of discourse, often the appeal is for one to begin to choose the right actions or to choose not to engage in the destructive ones. So if we take the person who sometimes drinks the IPA and sometimes the Hefeweizen, but who goes back to the cooler again and again for the one or the other and doesn't cease until quite intoxicated, and who does so on occasion after occasion, their behavior might be seen as a series of choices. But when are the choices exercised? Before each trip to the cooler? Before each occasion? Before each bringing of the can to the lips? For the chronically depressed person, when is the choice made to remain in despair? Each morning? Every week? And who's to say? When we consider generally someone's protracted process of decline into a destitute and unhealthy state, to view it as a long series of bad choices almost tacitly conjures up the implication that an individual had something like a 50-50 likelihood of making the right choice in each instance, but yet somehow miraculously, or should I say catastrophically, managed to make the wrong choice at nearly every turn. So, interpreted this way, we might end up reckoning the likelihood of spiraling decline, which happens all the time every day around us, as similar to that of tossing a coin and having it land heads 10 or 20 or 100 times in a row. What, then, is the alternative explanation for such processes, such self-destructive episodes in a person? It's not that it's a sequence of choices, it's that it's a tragedy. It's who they are. And the same might be said about processes of success and triumph and overcoming, perhaps even overcoming the tragic episode. If I can recall, most of the arguments I've heard for the existence of free will and choice seem to be the same in their essence. When asked to explain what is this thing called choice and when is it exercised and how, these interlocutors usually inadvertently but understandably import language already laden with the conceptual commitment to choice in their explanation. Often, this involves the unintentionally deceptive and self-deceptive employment of synonyms as explanations. That moment when you decide to get the IPA, they might say. But in any case, what they're basically saying in response is something like, choice is when you choose. So the argument for free will, at least in these scenarios as I've encountered them, is often a circular one. Eventually I'll have to make more videos exploring the topic of free will in more specifics and detail, and also addressing what I imagine more likely underlies human actions generally. For now, I will only suggest that what one does is the result of motives, character, contingency, and the competition and/or cooperation of different drives within us.